Good evening and welcome to the Fairfield City School District Board of Education meeting for August 21st, 2023. Mrs. Lane, will you call the roll?
Mr. Begley?
Here.
Ms. Birding?
Present.
Mr. Clark? Mrs. Gundram?
Here.
Mrs. Shorter?
Thank you. Will you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Mrs. Gundram, will you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to
the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mrs. Gundram. Presentations and resolutions. Mr. Smith.
Yes, Mr. Begley and members of the board, we do have one presentation this evening, and that is an athletic department update. At this time, I will turn it over to Mr. Blankenship and Mr. Perry.
Good evening, members of the board. Thank you for having me this evening. Welcome to those of you in the audience. Thank you for giving me the time to highlight all the great things that have been happening in Fairfield Athletics over this past year. So I'll start, as I always do, when I get a chance to speak with the board, our district admin team. Thank you guys so much for your support of our athletic programs. It means the world for our coaches, for our student athletes, for our community, to see you guys support We'll try again. Thanks.
You mind starting over? Go ahead and start over.
I think it was good evening. That's the first line. But it means the world to our kids, especially to our coaches, to our community, to see you guys travel as often as you do, to see you at regional events, to see you at local events. And thank you so much. We live in a great community because of the support you give our student athletes and all of our students in general. But again, thank you for this opportunity tonight. The highlight here is I want to highlight some of the statistics and some of the numbers of the past few years. In short, it's a great time to be involved in Fairfield Athletics. And so we'll start by doing just a quick overview of the scope of the athletic department. Past year, 2022-2023, just under 1,200 total student athletes here within our district. What we find to be really exciting as we've seen the national average dip pretty drastically since COVID. We're seeing that our involvement of our student athletes, the total number of student athletes, is actually going up over the past few years. And so a little over an 8% increase from the year before. 99 total teams. We're fine with that total right now. That's a good number for us to be looking at. But a ton of pride. We have close to 300 multi-sport athlete, a 9% increase from the year before, in a time where that trend nationwide is dwindling and dwindling quick. Super excited to see that. And the final thing, we didn't know when we talk about COVID a lot. Really, COVID obviously impacted what happened in the classroom, what happens in education, but it impacted athletics a ton. So really curious to see what would happen. Would our student athletes still have the same opportunities to continue their careers at the college level, at the prep school level? And what we're seeing is that they're having those opportunities again. So we average about 30 per year. They get a chance to commit to continue to play at the college level. Last year, we were blessed to see 40 of our student athletes go on and see that. And so part of that success obviously translated on the field, on the court, and beyond. Last year, we super successful year, highlighted by 3 district titles, 2 regional finalists, 3 GMC Players of the Year, 3 GMC Coaches of the Year, and as you see up there, the most points in school history in the All Sports Trophy for Fairfield. And so the All Sports Trophy is a league trophy that's given out. It highlights every single sport that we have, each gender of sport, and gives a point total for that. So we're excited to see the most points we've ever had. And so a successful year, and obviously up there a lot of pictures highlighting some great things that had happened and some pretty special moments. One of the other things we were really concerned about coming out of COVID was would our community return back to our athletic venues? One of the biggest questions that we had is would people find something else to do? There's a year where our community couldn't really come back to a football game or to a basketball game, just didn't know if they'd return. What's been great is they have. They've returned and showed why this is such a great community to live in. Hometown ticketing, the source for ticketing throughout the whole state of Ohio for every high school. And OSHA let us know that we sold more tickets than any other high school in the state of Ohio for the past year. Since 2018, 2019, we've seen our ticket revenue increase close to 70%. And so we've gotten creative. Those of you who've been to basketball games, from the courtside seats to youth nights to we try to have almost every night possible just to try to reach every aspect of our community. But it's been great to see the feedback that we received. Obviously, the talent on the floor and on the field has helped, but it's been great for our student athletes to go out there and to be able to have the community behind them. A few of the projects I wanted to highlight. First, looking at our community projects, 4 that I wanted to highlight here that you may have seen, but are near and dear to our heart. The first is Student Athlete Pantry. It's a passion project that we started last year with our athletic trainers. Really found a lot of our students really concerned about the nutrition of a lot of our student athletes. We were seeing cramping, we were seeing dehydration, especially in the winter time for a lot of our student athletes. Some of our student athletes were going even to the hospital to deal with this dehydration. And so found our coaches spending a significant amount of money, our trainers spending a significant amount of money trying to properly feed our student athletes. So we started this pantry. It's completely privately funded. It's an open-handed pantry where our student athletes can come get a snack after school. Doesn't matter if they're on free reduced lunch, if they're not, if they go to our trainers and they need a snack, we have a nutritious snack in there for them. We worked with the nutritionist at Mercy Health. I worked with quite a few folks within the Mercy Health world. It was a huge success. In the first couple months, we're averaging 402 student athletes served during that time frame. What we'll see over the next few weeks, we'll transition. It's mostly housed here at the high school. We'll transition it to meet the needs that we're seeing at football and soccer. So it'll move actually over to our football field house, and we'll be filling that up here in the next few weeks. And so huge thanks to Mercy Health for their help, Hoist Hydration, and then also the Fairfield Boosters have come alongside and helped us make that a possibility. As I'm sure you'll talk about later, Gina's highlighted so well online, the Back to School Bash has been such a success for our athletic teams. This year we had 16 athletic teams participate over at the football field. One of the highlights of the year is for our kids being able to interact with the youth in our community. So it's when I talk about it with our coaches, one of the best events that our district puts on every year. It's just our pleasure to be able to be a part of that special day. 2 other things, the Mercy Health student trainers. So we used to have student athletic trainers going back about 7-8 years ago. It has finally come back. This is the first time we've had it in quite a long time. And this year we have 15 students who have signed up to work with our athletic trainers with Mercy. They're on the sidelines, they're helping. We had 12 on the sidelines at our football game against Wayne. We'll see some in the arena tonight at our volleyball game. But students are getting just hands-on experience with the athletic trainers, getting to see what this would be like even before they would go onto a college campus. And so it's been a great success. Really blown away by how many students were interested in it. Those students had to apply, get letters of recommendation, and go through an interview to be a part of this group. And so a special group, and they're getting a great experience. Final thing is the mental health awareness. We call it the 988 games based on the new suicide hotline that is out there, but it's highlighted games that we started last spring in conjunction with Mercy Health. Brad Frazier, one of our trainers, is really taking the lead on this. But given a chance to have games where we highlight mental health, we highlight what is out there, My Fave 5, Ben Morrison Fund, groups that are looking to help with mental health in our community, come alongside, hold booths. We talk about statistics during the game, It's been a great wealth of knowledge for our community, great opportunity for our parents, for our student athletes to interact with these local agencies that are helping with mental health awareness. And so here in the next week, we'll be releasing our fall schedule as well. For our final topic, we'll talk a little bit about facility upgrades. I'll turn it over to Mr. Perry.
Thank you. Tonight, I'd just like to highlight a couple of projects that we've been working on, and once I'm highlighted those things, I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. Blankenship so he can talk about the impact that it had on our student athletes. So this summer, we began with turf replacement, and in addition to that, the moving of the long jump area. The project was started in late June, and the field is complete. Obviously, we have a football game on Friday, so we're going to put that to the test. But the long jump is scheduled to be completed by mid-September. We actually had one product that is needed. It was placed on back order, and we can't get it until that time, but we've been working with Moats, who's been a great partner in the process with the coaches to make sure that everything is safe, especially for Friday Night Lights. This project also included updated documents for maintenance of the field, as well as on-site training for the staff. As you know, there is a lot of maintenance that must be performed on the turf, which has allowed us to keep it for as long as we have, at least this past one. So it's crucial that we stay on top of the training for our staff and the proper maintenance procedures of even our coaches and our students to make sure that the longevity of the field, that we keep it as long as we can. The funds used for this project were not general fund, but they were the permanent improvement fund, which does have some requirements that we must have, which the replacement of the field does fit into, and we were able to utilize those funds for that purpose. We do have some other athletic-focused projects which are still on the long-term list, and those are moving the pole vault to inside the football stadium, the replacement of the visitor football stands, and the addition of restrooms at the soccer stadium. All of these projects has been placed on hold until the financial forecast of the district has become more clear. And also, we did look at trying to move the pole vault this summer, but in conversations with Moats, they advised that it was a better idea to wait, kind of too much to bite off at once. So we did wait on that, but that was a little bit smaller, and we will continue to revisit all of those. In addition, I would also like to highlight about how the Athletic and Business Operations Department continue to collaborate to identify smaller projects that can be managed within our current operating budgets. I know Todd Weiser and Jamie Berkey in particular work with our field staff and also with the coaches and Mr. Blankenship and Mr. Sims to make sure that we try to have a list of items that we try to stay on top of so that all of our student athletes and anybody that visits continues to see that we're trying to maintain and keep our facilities looking the best that they can. And in addition to that, tomorrow, we just talked this evening about, we have a meeting to make sure that we're all focused on what needs to be completed to have a good first Friday night home game this Friday. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Mr. Blankenship, because I'm sure he will highlight a few things about the field turf in particular and how it's impacted our students.
As Mr. Perry said, the field turf was probably the biggest replacement that you would notice from this summer. Obviously, the finished product, if you haven't had a chance to see it this Friday, is a great opportunity to see it. But it turned out great. I can't say enough about the help that we had from Mr. Perry's department and Moats to make that a reality. I think for us, one of the greatest things we saw was the collaboration of our coaches. Normally, during a summer, we have 2 turf fields at our disposal for our football teams, for our soccer teams. Every level of football, every level of soccer, boys and girls. Lacrosse is a great time for their camps. it was awesome to see as we were down to one turf field this summer. No issues with our coaches, how much they worked together, how much they collaborated. The field was busy, but it was one of the best signs of culture that I had seen in a long time from our athletic department. So it was a great thing to see. But again, the final product has been great, and I can't say enough about the final product that Moats has given us. A couple other projects that we've had, the new wall and batting cages over at Nuxall Field. This was all privately funded by our Legacy Fund, the alumni group over there. And so the wall is up. We'll have some new graphics. We'll be able, with the new wall that's out there, it added a service road for us in case of emergency, and easier access to the field, but also allows us to tell our history, our rich baseball history out there a whole lot easier. The addition of 3 batting cages gives us 5 batting cages out there, gives us one of the best facilities in all of Southwest Ohio. A couple of projects, as Mr. Perry mentioned, trying to just work smart, work strategically. Updated FHS weight room, redesigned, organized, reused some equipment that we had there. And so we're now able to have multiple teams in there at one time instead of just one time. So we're now able to have 3 teams in there working out in different areas. It's been a great change for us to be able to get kids right after school working out. Final thing is multi-purpose area. Top of Crossroads Middle School, you probably noticed the balcony, the old wrestling room. We were able to use some donations in flooring and pads from a local group to be able to redo that whole area. So it's almost 5,000 square foot of multi-purpose area. And so during the winter, we're looking at using that more as futsal courts, if you're familiar with soccer, the off-season training that they do. Lacrosse has been up there as well. And it's been a nice space for cheerleading to be able to have practice when the gym floor is not available due to volleyball or basketball. So again, try to utilize space the best we can and try to utilize funds the best we can. But in conclusion, just a huge thank you for this time to be able to share the great things that are going on, and thank you again for your support.
Thank you, Mr. Blankenship. Mr. Perry, questions, comments?
Thank you very much for sharing with us. Thank you for sharing the financial part, because when I first saw that slide, I thought, how did we pay for that? So it was, I appreciate not having to ask that question. And then also, it is so great to see the student athletes giving back through the 988 games and student trainers and participating in the Back to School Bash. It's awesome. So thank you all for sharing.
Thank you. Mr. Blankenship, I'll go back to slide 4, I think, that talked about selling the most tickets of any high school in the state of Ohio. That's awfully impressive.
Yeah, it was. What I think is so neat about that is obviously, I think the first thing that jumps out to you is that it's, hey, the most amount of people saw our football team or our basketball team or girls soccer, but what a lot of people don't realize is, that includes the most amount of people saw our marching band, saw our national anthem performers, our cheerleaders, our dance team, everything that goes into a Friday night or a Tuesday night basketball game or a Thursday night girls basketball game. And so, a celebration of our community for sure.
It is. It speaks to the viability of our sports program, but more importantly, I think it reflects on the community as a whole and their willingness to support the teams. That's great stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
I also think it's the Back to School Bash, which I plan on mentioning at the end of the meeting today, but just excellent job there. Having those sports teams there, having the students there, working with the little ones, coming out, really, really cool. I got a chance to be on the football field for that as well, and so did all the little kids, right? And I think everyone really enjoyed it. So thanks so much for the athletes and their participation in that program. And then, again, finally, that turf looks great. Look amazing. How many years did we get out of the old one, Mr. Perry? Almost 12 years. And now we've got a beautiful new one, hopefully lasts just as long. Thank you. Thank you.
I also just wanted to thank you guys for all of the leadership and the way you guys are able to foster not only the community by giving a great program for our athletes to succeed in, but also give somewhere for our community to come together to celebrate not only our students, but our our city and our school system. And you guys are always so diligent with our funds and with our staffing and the way that our our coaches were able to come together to work together this summer on that one field is just shows to the culture that we create in this school district with all of our staff. So thank you guys again for also helping culture that community.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Chairman.